They don't think like us. While you're fighting sleep, they're rewiring their minds for domination. These 7 billionaire mind tricks don't just make money, they control it. The truth is brutal. It's not intelligence, education, or even luck that creates a billionaire. It's psychology, a way of seeing the world so differently. It almost feels alien. While most people see failure as a wall, they see it as fuel. You quit when it hurts. They begin when it hurts. That's what separates the rest of us from people like Elon Musk, Jeff Bezos, Warren Buffett, or Steve Jobs. They live by a different code, a mental playbook that bends the world in their favor. And today, we're opening that playbook. The first trick, controlled obsession. You call it unhealthy, they call it purpose. When Elon Musk was days away from losing everything, sleeping in Tesla's factory floor, he didn't stop. He doubled down. He didn't want comfort, he wanted control. Control over chaos. Control over the impossible. Jeff Bezos built Amazon on the idea that success isn't measured in days, but decades. When everyone wanted quick results, he played the long game. While competitors tried to win the year, Bezos was busy winning the century. And here's the thing, obsession isn't luck. It's training. They build their minds to find peace in struggle. To them, the pain of failure feels like progress. Most people chase balance. Billionaires chase momentum. Now comes the second psychological weapon, emotional distance. When markets crash, when the world panics, when everything burns, billionaires don't react. They respond. Because they know emotion destroys reason. You can't build an empire if every storm shakes your soul. Warren Buffett once said, "Be fearful when others are greedy, and greedy when others are fearful." That's not a quote. That's a mental algorithm. They've learned to detach their emotions from their actions, to stay calm when everyone else drowns in chaos. Mark Zuckerberg once lost billions in a single day. He didn't panic. He didn't tweet. He didn't even blink. Because his mind wasn't stuck in the present. It was already 10 years ahead. He doesn't measure loss in dollars. He measures it in lessons. And here's the secret nobody tells you. They still feel fear. They still feel doubt. But while you let fear freeze you, they use it as a compass. Fear doesn't stop them, it guides them. They've learned that every fear points towards something worth chasing. But what happens when obsession and control meet delusion? That's where the real magic begins. Because the third psychological trick is what turns millionaires into legends. It's called calculated delusion. It's believing in something that doesn't exist yet. It's building the future before anyone else even sees it. Elon Musk believed in Mars when everyone laughed. Larry Ellison believed he could build Oracle when no one trusted him. Steve Jobs believed he could fit an entire computer into your pocket when computers filled entire rooms. This isn't optimism. It's insanity with structure. A delusion so calculated it bends reality until it becomes true. That's how billionaires think. While you wait for proof, they become the proof. And that's only the beginning. Because the next 4 psychological tricks will change how you think forever. They say success changes people. But here's the truth. Success doesn't change you. It reveals who you really are. Every billionaire, every visionary, every so-called crazy one, the world laughed at. They all carried one invisible weapon, an unshakable belief that they were chosen for something greater. When Elon Musk said he'd send humans to Mars, people called him insane. When Steve Jobs said he'd put 1,000 songs in your pocket, they called him a dreamer. When Oprah Winfrey said she'd build a global empire of influence, they called her unrealistic. But you know what? The world always laughs before it claps. That's mindset number 2. They don't wait for validation. They move without permission. While most people seek approval, they seek impact. They act like kings long before they have a crown. They make decisions from the future they see, not the fear they feel. And that's what separates the dreamers from the doers. Confidence isn't something they gain after success. It's something they wear before success. Their certainty becomes a magnet, pulling opportunity, people and luck toward them. It's not arrogance, it's awareness. They know who they are and they refuse to apologize for it. But here's the part no one talks about. Confidence is born from pain. Every no forged their steel. Every failure carved their strength. Every insult became armor. Larry Ellison once said, "When people tell me something can't be done, I love it, because it means they haven't figured out how." That's the mind of a conqueror. The world says it's impossible. They reply, "Good. That means it's mine to do." That leads to mindset number 3, speed over perfection. While most people hesitate, waiting for the right moment, billionaires create the moment. They move so fast that the world struggles to keep up. Jeff Bezos didn't wait for a flawless plan before building Amazon. He jumped. He failed, he learned, and he built again. Mark Zuckerberg's first Facebook was ugly, clunky, barely working, but it was real. Because billionaires know done is better than perfect. Perfection is the cage of the ordinary. Progress is the freedom of the extraordinary. Every great empire was built on messy drafts, wrong turns, and half-broken systems that somehow worked because the vision was unstoppable. They don't measure success by how clean the plan looks. They measure it by how far they move while everyone else is still planning. That's why Musk's rockets explode, and he celebrates. Every explosion brings him closer to Mars. Every failure teaches what no textbook ever could. Speed creates power. Power creates momentum. Momentum creates belief. And belief? Belief creates destiny. But here's where the story turns darker and deeper. Because moving at that speed comes at a price. And most people aren't willing to pay it. Mindset number 4. Embrace isolation. You can't dream of changing the world and still expect the world to understand you. You can't chase greatness and still crave company every night. The truth is, greatness is lonely. Because the higher you rise, the fewer people can breathe your air. Steve Jobs said it perfectly. If you want to make everyone happy, don't be a leader, sell ice cream. Visionaries trade comfort for purpose. They give up fitting in to stand out. They sacrifice popularity for progress. When everyone else is at parties, they're at their desks. When others are sleeping, they're sketching, coding, designing, building. And when they finally succeed, the world calls them lucky, forgetting the years they spent bleeding in silence. That's the paradox of greatness. You'll be doubted before you're admired. You'll be mocked before you're copied. You'll be hated before you're followed. Isolation isn't a punishment, it's a classroom. It's where focus sharpens, where noise dies, where identity is reborn. Every empire begins in silence. Every revolution starts with one person, alone, staring at a wall, whispering, "I'm not done yet." That's how Apple began. That's how Amazon began. That's how SpaceX began. Not in chaos, but in solitude. Because legends don't fear being misunderstood. They fear being average. So if you ever find yourself walking alone, doubted, questioned, dismissed, remember this. You might just be in the same silence that once built empires. They say greatness is beautiful. But the truth? It's brutal. Because behind every shining success story, there's a battlefield no one ever sees. Blood, tears, and silence. That's the real currency of dreams. And every billionaire you've ever admired, Musk, Gates, Ellison, Bezos, they've all paid in full. You see, they don't just take risks. They marry them. Where most people see danger, they see destiny. They don't fear losing everything, they fear never trying. That's trick 6, the obsession beyond limits. They don't wake up for comfort. They wake up for war, the kind of war that happens inside your own head. Every single day. When doubt screams, they whisper back, "Watch me." Steve Jobs wasn't chasing money. He was chasing perfection. Elon Musk isn't trying to be rich, he's trying to touch Mars. Larry Ellison didn't build Oracle to prove others wrong. He built it to prove himself right. That's what people don't get. This level of success isn't ambition anymore. It's madness with a purpose. You can't fake obsession. You can't half-love your dream. Because while you're sleeping, someone else is building your future. They live in that constant tension between genius and insanity, between wanting peace and craving chaos. And every single night when the world sleeps, they fight the same invisible war. With fear, with fatigue, with failure. That's where legends are made. Not in applause, not in victory, but in the quiet moments of doubt, when they still choose to move forward. But there's one more secret. The final mindset, and the one no book, no podcast, no motivational guru ever talks about. Trick 7, turning pain into power. Pain is the hidden fuel of billionaires. You can see it in their eyes, Gare. That cold, focused fire that never goes out. Because at some point, every single one of them was broken. Jobs fired from his own company. Musk and sleeping on a factory floor, bankrupt and mocked. Ellison's abandoned, told he'd never make it. Bezos and laughed at for selling books. But instead of running from pain, they used it. They fed on it. Every insult became motivation. Every failure became a lesson. Every scar became a symbol of survival. That's the real secret. They don't run from pain, they reshape it. Pain makes normal people quit. But for legends, pain is proof they're getting closer. They don't say, "Why me?" They say, "Try me." Because in their world, comfort kills creativity, and struggle builds strength. That's why no billionaire stays the same person they were at the start. They evolve. They harden. They rise. And when the world sees the mansion, the jets, the power, they miss the most important part. The silence it all came from. The nights when no one believed. The rejections that cut deep. The tears that no one saw. That's where greatness grows in the dark. So if you're watching this thinking, I want that life, then understand this truth. You don't need luck. You need fire. You need to fall, fail, break, and still have the courage to rise again, because the final difference between dreamers and doers isn't talent or timing or luck. It's pain tolerance. The world doesn't reward the smartest. It rewards the ones who keep going when it hurts the most. So when life pushes you to your knees and don't stay there, that's your test. That's your story. That's your moment. Because every billionaire you've ever admired was once just someone who refused to quit. They started as nobodies, dreamers with nothing but a spark and a storm inside their chest. And look at them now, the ones who shaped the world, not because they were lucky, but because they refused to surrender when life tried to silence them. That's the real secret of billionaires. Not money, not genius, but relentless, unreasonable belief. When the world said stop, they whispered back, "Watch me rewrite the rules." So remember this, the empire you want is already waiting for you, but it won't be built by the version of you that gives up. It'll be built by the version that bleeds for it. Because in the end, success isn't about what you have. It's about who you become in the fire. And maybe, just maybe, one day someone will tell your story. The story of the person who had nothing and still built everything. I'll watch more stories of the world's boldest founders, only on Zero to Found.